Hi, welcome back to Jen's Movies of the Week. This is episode 3. We are a low tech, high information movie podcast. And this is actually my second podcast. My regular podcast is Every Rom Com, which a lot of research goes into. This is just me having fun and telling you about a few movies I've watched this week. So, this week I've got a couple things for you. First, my husband and I have been doing a Quentin Tarantino rewatch. So, I'm going to tell you about what we've seen so far and how I would rank them, after watching them again. But I'm also going to tell you just about a few movies I watched this week on Tubi that I enjoyed. So let's get right to that. So, first of all, as you may know, actor Sam Neill died recently, and everyone was really sad about that. A lot of people were doing a Jurassic Park rewatch or a Possession rewatch. I decided to rewatch In the Mouth of Madness, which you can find on Tubi right now. And that's a film directed by John Carpenter. May know John Carpenter from Halloween or The Thing. Excellent horror director. In the Mouth of Madness gets slept on a little bit. It came out in 1994. It's a really interesting, like Lovecraftian horror movie. So it's got that existential horror, and it's kind of about the nature of reality and finding yourself in a situation where you don't know what's going on anymore. It's really hard to explain, actually, but it revolves around an author named Sutter Kane, and his books are sort of driving people crazy, and at the same time we don't know, like, are we in Sutter Kane's reality or is he distorting reality? It's a very interesting movie. You should check it out. Sam Neill's performance is key to why the movie is a success, though. He is great at holding down the fort in these wild situations. So In the Mouth of Madness is available on Tubi right now. It has those wonderful 90s production values. It looks great. Go ahead and check it out. Like, Tubi is a free service, Tubi. You can get it on your TV, you can get it on your laptop. If you don't have it already, it's a great resource, especially for horror fans. All right, so the second movie I wanted to talk about outside of the Tarantino rewatch is also from Tubi. And this one is called Murphy's Romance. It's from 1985. And it is a rare 1980s rom com that I have never seen yet. In our podcast, we've talked about a number of 80s rom coms already, including Moonstruck and Romancing the Stone. I think the 1980s were a great time for romance because mostly it wasn't too tropey. They let characters and situations develop very naturally. The movies played out the same way a drama would. It was character first, it was writing first. It wasn't trying to hit all these marks and have all these, like, oh, the clumsy person fell down, or oh, there's a meet cute. It was way more organic. And so you're going to find a lot of great romance in the 1980s if you go looking. But Murphy's Romance is one I just never happened to watch, and I was really excited to find a new romance from the 80s. And this one stars James Garner and Sally Field. If you know anything about those two actors, you will know that it is therefore an age gap romance. So the actors in real life are about 18 years apart, but in the movie, for some reason, they made the age gap like even larger. I don't know why, but it still works. Like, James Garner's character in this movie is just this really, like, together, mature, kind, and generous guy. He's got his shit together. And Sally Field has been through kind of a unreliable marriage. She's a single mom now, and her child is played by Corey Haim. And she's moved to a new town where she wants to board horses and train horses. And so, if you like a small town romance, if you like something with a little bit of a Western flavor, this will also work really well for you. So, Murphy's Romance over on Tubi, also check that out. Okay, now we're going to get into the Tarantino rewatch. So, I'm a big Quentin Tarantino fan, and so is my husband. We've seen all of his movies before, so we're just doing a rewatch to kind of see how we feel about them now, and also because we're about to get the Kill Bill. Why can't I remember? The Whole Bloody Affair, that's what it's called. The Kill Bill where they're put together. We're about to get that Blu ray in the mail. So far we've gotten up through Jackie Brown. We're watching movies that he wrote the script for, as well as movies that he directed. And we're not doing things where he was just a script doctor or kind of unofficial, but anything where his name's like in the credits. So I'm going to go ahead then and just tell you where I'm ranking them so far. And I'm going to start with the lowest ranked movie in our Tarantino rewatch. And I think I speak for my husband when I say this would be his lowest ranked too. This is Four Rooms, the anthology film that Tarantino contributed to alongside directors Allison Anders, Robert Rodriguez, and Alexander Rockwell. Now, I saw Four Rooms in the movie theater when it came out. I was already a big Tarantino fan in college. And I remember going in with so much anticipation because I also liked Allison Anders. I also liked Robert Rodriguez. And then I watched it, and when you like really you want something to be good, so you keep sitting there and you're like, okay, it'll get good soon. It'll get good soon. It didn't, okay? And I had not watched it since I saw it in theaters in college. And all I remembered was that it was bad, and there was a part that had witches in it. And there is a part that has witches in it. That was Allison Anders' section. Madonna is playing a witch for some reason. I guess, Ione Skye's in it, and you can see her breasts. And I hate to say it, that might be the highlight of the movie. Pretty sad. No offense to Ione Skye, just like that shouldn't be the highlight of your movie. Um, Robert Rodriguez's section was okay. I'll give it that. Like his plotting and like the last still image in his section was pretty good. It was about these children who are the bellboy played by Tim Roth has to like babysit, and they're just like terrors. So that section was pretty good. Antonio Banderas was good in it, but the whole movie is sort of hampered by, for one thing, the way they've decided to direct Tim Roth to perform this bellhop. It's so affected and mannered, and I'm sure it's trying to like riff off of some like other kind of past character. Like at one point, Quentin Tarantino alludes to like Jerry Lewis in a movie, and I'm wondering if like that was the inspiration. I haven't seen Jerry Lewis really in anything, so I guess if I watch that, I could be like, oh, that's that. But it doesn't make me want to watch it because I didn't like the way Tim Roth performed this character. It's just like anytime I was about to get invested in the story, like the sort of the artificiality of his performance just took me right out of it, and I stopped caring again. So yeah, the Allison Anders section is just kind of, yeah, they're witches, and I love witches, but it didn't do anything for me plot wise. Then you've got the Alexander Rockwell sequence, which I thought was the worst of all. It just felt sort of weird, and there was a woman tied up the entire time, played by Jennifer Beals, and it's like, great, not very exciting for me as a woman. And then you have Robert Rodriguez's section, which did bring the tone up a little bit and was not bad. But then Tarantino's section just feels like so self indulgent, and like he's a genius now and he can do whatever he wants, and nobody's going to tell him that this section is boring and that there's not really much going on. So he just puts it out there. Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe after Four Rooms he did get some critique, and he took that in hand and improved himself, because after that he did start to get better again. But yeah, Four Rooms, bottom of the barrel. And I have seen people rate it well on Letterboxd. Don't understand it, but to each your own. All right. My second lowest rated so far that we've watched was From Dusk Till Dawn. And that, Robert Rodriguez directed it. Now, I have no problem with Robert Rodriguez's direction. I thought the casting was good, the production design was good. The effects were a little cheesy, but it worked for this movie. You may know it's the vampire movie, and it features George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino playing these two kind of outlaw characters. Harvey Keitel is excellent. He plays like a kind of a pastor that gets drawn into their life. And Juliette Lewis plays his daughter. I didn't write down the other actors, but a lot of the Robert Rodriguez actors that you see in a lot of his movies show up. And famously, Salma Hayek does a dance that is a sexy dance. Um, but I love this when it came out. Okay, in movie theaters, I saw it with everybody on my dorm hall who were all these like gamers, like wearing black trench coats and stuff, and they loved it. Okay, and I liked it at the time too. But the thing is, this movie has not aged well for me. And I've always been a feminist, but I think in college I was going through a period where I was more okay with my objectification. I think women are encouraged to be okay with their own objectification, certainly. But this movie just feels kind of ugly to me now when I watch it. Like, there's this whole section where, like, I think it's Cheech Marin is like the doorman at this like strip club they end up in. And like, he's just talking about all the different kinds of pussy you can get there, and just labeling it like yellow pussy, blonde pussy. And it's like a whole sequence like this. And I'm just like rolling my eyes, and I'm like, great. Like, there are no real women characters in this movie other than a teenage girl who is also herself objectified in the movie. Selma Hayek's a character, I guess, in that she's like a sexy dancer who becomes a vampire. There's other stripper vampires, and then there's like an older woman who gets raped. So, it's, as a woman, I watched it again and I was like, yeah, it's not for me. Like, I've heard people say that they felt like Sinners was derivative of From Dusk Till Dawn. And like, yeah, it might have taken like a shred of an idea from it, but unlike, From Dusk Till Dawn, Sinners has women characters that I actually like can relate to, that are given like characterization and things to do and character arcs. And I like that. I like that a lot better. So yeah, I don't like those comparisons so much. Anyway, I'm sorry if From Dusk Till Dawn is one of your faves. There is a lot of fun stuff in there. Tom Savini, the makeup artist, gets to do some cool shit. Again, I have no problem with Rodriguez's direction, but yeah, just right now in 2026 as a woman, I'm fatigued with my objectification at this point. All right. Now, Natural Born Killers would be the next one, like the next lowest, but it's not bad. Okay, Natural Born Killers is a script that Tarantino wrote and Oliver Stone directed. And Tarantino has largely sort of disavowed this one in terms of he doesn't like what Stone did with it. But honestly, I think the things I like more about it are the things that Oliver Stone contributed. His visual sense in this movie is really interesting. Like, it's very like avant-garde, actually, like the weird like collages of images that are showing up all the time. And it's also about an outlaw couple that are going across the country killing people, but Oliver Stone, I'm pretty sure, is the one who injects sort of a message about violence in the media and how we glorify violence. I'm pretty sure that was his contribution. And so it becomes a little more than that. um, I think Tarantino might have just wanted to make an outlaw movie, and I'm glad that he didn't, honestly. I think Stone elevates it to be something more interesting, and the kind of imagery he uses is very cool. But I do like it better when I'm watching something like The Doors, okay? Because again, like, this is a movie that's kind of dark and ugly, and like you feel like you're on some kind of like drug trip with like psycho killers. You don't want to feel like that every day, okay? If you're in a mood where you can handle that, by all means, watch Natural Born Killers. I feel like it would be trippy as hell in a movie theater. I'm pretty sure I did see it in the theater when it came out. Um, do that if you get a chance, but like, it's not an everyday movie. It's not something I'm going to rewatch constantly. So yeah, Natural Born Killers. All right, and now we get to the movies that I would definitely rewatch many times. I have rewatched many times, and I really like. So first, we got True Romance, and that is one that Tarantino wrote and Tony Scott directed. And Tony Scott really makes the Tarantino script more mainstream. He did a few things like changing the ending, and he gives it a kind of action movie dynamism in certain places. But it's a Tarantino script through and through, with like your mute pop culture references and so forth. And again, you've got a couple on the run, this time because Clarence, played by Christian Slater, kills a pimp, played by Gary Oldman, who is his new girlfriend, Alabama. Well, new wife, Alabama's pimp. We actually covered True Romance on Every Rom-Com on my podcast. If I can figure out how to do that cool thing where you put the little video at the end of this video, I will link to that because it's a great episode. And there's actually, I did a whole section on sort of a biography of Quentin Tarantino there, as well as like for the movie, I did all kinds of prep. I actually watched all the Street Fighter movies that Clarence and Alabama watch in the movie, and I give a little report on that. So don't miss that if you like True Romance. But yeah, True Romance, I could watch it many times, probably about once a year. My husband feels the same. There's so much to love in there. There's like lots of weird little things, like Brad Pitt playing a stoner named Floyd, who is like just a legendary character. Yeah, of course, you've got like great actors like Christopher Walken, who you'll see in later Tarantino movies. So check that out. All right. And now we get to like the top three that I've watched so far. So these are really hard to even put in order. Like, I mean, they change for me regularly. But for my third favorite right now, I'm going to go with Pulp Fiction, which a lot of people consider to be, Tarantino's best movie. It certainly was his most revolutionary movie. It is very difficult to explain to people who saw Pulp Fiction later on what it was like to see Pulp Fiction in a movie theater in 1994 or 1995. I was a senior in high school, I watched it in the movie theater. I had no idea what to expect except that Roger Ebert said it was like the best movie of the year. And I'm like, well, I gotta go if Roger Ebert says so. And it just felt like having my whole conception of what a movie could be changed, just in an instant. And people say like this movie became my whole life. It kind of became my whole life for a while, until then Reservoir Dogs became my whole life for a while after that. I ended up watching a ton of different movies from the actors in Pulp Fiction after that. Anything that I heard was sort of like an inspiration. I watched those. It opened up a lot of new doors for me. I was already a cinephile, but it made me a new kind of a cinephile. And like the dialogue in Pulp Fiction is still so fresh. Like if you watch even just the one scene where Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta go and they're gonna like, kill these guys that like have their boss's suitcase, that one scene has so much dialogue that gets endlessly memed, endlessly quoted. It's unbelievable. And it's all throughout the movie, though, things that are references that we take for granted these days. The way Tarantino did the structure, we take for granted these days, the way he, inverted the plot. But when you saw that in 1995, man, when you saw them get back to the diner in 1995, I cannot even tell you. Anyway, if you're like somehow have never seen Pulp Fiction, go please watch it. Okay, I know it's fashionable to dislike Tarantino these days, but he has been so influential over most of the movies that have come out in the last few decades. Like, please do yourself a favor. All right, now, number two, Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is a movie that has grown on me over time. When I first saw it, like when I was in college, I was a little disappointed because Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction were so sort of revolutionary in style and dialogue, and here was something that was a little more quiet and like a little less flashy. It wasn't what I expected, and I knew that it wasn't something Tarantino wrote himself. But now, okay, and especially after I did actually do a guest spot on a panel about Jackie Brown on a podcast that unfortunately never got released, but I did a lot of research and I read the novel that it's based on, Rum Punch. I look now and I see how much Tarantino actually did with that novel and how he changed it to be have more stakes and be more relevant. Jackie Brown is Jackie Burke in the novel, who's a white woman. By even just changing Jackie Brown to a black woman, he raises the stakes. He makes her difficulties in our society even more, and he allows the casting of Pam Grier, who is a legend, who is amazing in this movie. I mean, there were not a lot of movies being made about Black women over 40 in the 90s, unfortunately. There still aren't today, unfortunately. And this was such a great showcase, though, for her talent. She's amazing in it. Then Robert Forster, another actor that Tarantino kind of revived, is phenomenal in this movie. And this is a movie that it wasn't very like I didn't really see the romance as being like that exciting when I was in my 20s because they were older people. But now that I'm in my late 40s and I'm like around the same age as these characters, it's beautiful. It's melancholy. It's yearning. Um, the cute little things that Max Cherry does, like buy the tape of the music that Jackie Brown played for him, like I feel it now. Okay, like when you get older, you do start like being more attracted to people your own age, which is a good thing, for society. Anyway, it's a wonderful movie. It's written so well, adapted so well. Great cast of actors in this movie, and the soundtrack is amazing. My husband says it's his favorite soundtrack of Tarantino movies. It might be his favorite Tarantino movie. I didn't double check with him, but I think it is his favorite of the first batch that we've watched. All right, which brings us to number one for now. Now, again, this is pretty arbitrary. The top three could be kind of like moved around, but Reservoir Dogs has always held a special place in my heart. Maybe it's just that he did so much with so little. You've got like this group of guys, like basically in just a few locations, mostly in a warehouse. They've pulled off this bank robbery, but it went wrong. And you've got the central relationship between Mr. White, played by Harvey Keitel, and Mr. Orange, played by Tim Roth, and the complications that ensue because of Mr. Orange's identity. Now, I'm trying not to spoil things, but by now you probably should have seen this, honestly. But that character dynamic is so rich. And there's a specific scene where Mr. Orange is telling an anecdote, practicing this anecdote, that is one of my favorite sequences in all of cinema. just the way it kind of is a commentary on telling stories and how they evolve in our minds. Beautiful sequence. Again, Reservoir Dogs has great quotable dialogue. I actually worked in a movie theater where we used to like recite the Lake of Virgin speech when all the customers were in the theaters and we were just hanging out by the concession stand. It was probably because it was on the soundtrack, okay, and everyone had it, and so we all had a chance to memorize it. But it does seem pretty random now, but we had fun with it, okay? We know that whole speech. Let me tell you what Lake of Virgin's about. We had the whole thing down. Anyway, great dialogue, and the soundtrack, again, spectacular. Um, if there's anything I associate with like my senior year of high school, it's probably driving to high school with Little Green Bag playing on the like car stereo and feeling like really cool about ourselves. Okay, even though we were these big nerds, but we were sitting there with our hash browns, listening to like Quentin Tarantino soundtracks, thinking we were badasses. Anyway, number one for now. So that's our Tarantino rewatch so far. We will be picking it back up soon, and I will report on it when we've got a few more movies done, and I'll see how the rankings change if they do. Please feel free to leave a comment. Okay, have you rewatched Tarantino recently, or is there another director that you rewatch regularly? Leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Are there any movies you've been really enjoying on Tubi? Love to hear about that. And yeah, just leave me a comment. I will try to respond to everybody. And yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.